Well, some new developments on the Will Wade front. According to Pat 40, LSU has received a notice of allegations regarding its men's basketball program and Will Wade. What does that mean for LSU moving forward? What is this process going to look like? We'll break that down. Plus, Richie Bradshaw from Locked On Sun Devils joins us to talk about our new friend Jayden Daniels. What was he like at Arizona State? What does he think is the reason for the regression from 2019 to 2021? What is LSU getting in their quarterback? We'll hear from him. All of that and more on today's edition of Locked On LSU.
You are Locked On LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On LSU your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Later on in the show, we'll have Richie Bradshaw from Locked On Sun Devils join us. We'll break down Jayden Daniels. But before we do that, there was a report put out today by Sports Illustrated, Pat 40 of Sports Illustrated, that LSU has received a notice of allegations regarding its men's basketball program, resolving infractions that happened in 2017, a federal investigation of Will Wade and the LSU men's basketball program. Of course, we all know it. It's the strong ass offer comments. It was the comments that an FBI wiretap caught Will Wade on the phone with Christian Dawkins talking about Javonte Smart, and Will Wade and the LSU basketball program giving him a quote unquote strong ass offer, and so on and so forth. And Christian Dawkins now in prison for bribery and all of the college basketball scandals that have been going on over the past few years. And it involves a lot of schools. It involved Arizona. It involved North Carolina. LSU's not alone in it. Christian Dawkins has dirty laundry spread throughout the NCAA and throughout college basketball. But he's currently serving time for what he has done. Will Wade caught on an FBI wiretap on the phone with Christian Dawkins talking about a strong ass offer to Javonte Smart. Now, this happened in 2017, and here we are in 2022. LSU has just received a notice of allegations. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't really know exactly what that means. It doesn't mean that it's a flat-out punishment, because the punishment is still up in the air. Coach Will Wade may be charged with a violation. It could be a major violation. It could be a minor violation. But he did sign a contract amendment in 2019 saying that if he was charged with a major violation, then he could be fired from LSU with cause, leaving LSU no money to pay out his contract, leaving LSU with kind of no pieces to be picked up, because they would part ways with Will Wade. Will Wade would be offered no money. He would earn no money from LSU, and that would be the termination of that contract. And LSU reserves the right to exercise that. That is exactly why they drew up that agreement with Will Wade to say that, hey, if this comes out, and if it comes out that you did these things and that you are going to be indicted for these things, then we have every right to protect ourselves. So that coming there. And of course, there's all the violations with, Odell Beckham Jr. handing money after the national championship. But here, the most important thing is Will Wade. What's going to happen? I don't know. I mean, it's been out of LSU's hands for years now. It will continue to be out of LSU's hands until the NCAA and until all of the dust settles with this case. And until more solidified information comes out, that's really all we'll know. Until more solidified information comes out, LSU can't make any moves. Now, LSU has not come out and commented on the most recent developments that came out today, released by Sports Illustrated and Pat 40. They have not commented on it. I can't imagine that LSU is going to comment on it until they have to. LSU doesn't want to come out and say definitively what their plan is going to be until they know all of their options. I don't blame them. I wouldn't either. But it is going to be interesting, because these developments come out, really, it's crunch time in the season. I don't think that LSU is going to, right now, where it stands, going to come out with any sort of punishment for Will Wade right now. He's most likely will not be pulled from the SEC tournament. He likely will not be pulled from the NCAA tournament. but it will be interesting to see how LSU moves forward. It will be interesting to see how LSU reacts to the latest developments in Will Wade's case. And I think most importantly, what LSU wants to do right now is just, if I am Scott Woodward, if I am LSU, I move forward as I have moved forward for the past couple of years. And that's that Will Wade is LSU's basketball coach. It's that the LSU Tigers are competing in the SEC tournament in a couple days. Move forward as if everything is normal, because that's what they've been doing the past couple of years. And if they need to react, when they need to react, then you can move forward. And LSU has done what they could to protect themselves. I mean, at this point, Will Wade's out of it. At this point, LSU is out of it. So we'll continue to look into the Will Wade case. We'll continue to look into, any developments into this Will Wade accusation of paying players and the violations within the men's basketball program. We'll continue to look into that. But until then, if I'm Scott Woodward, business as usual. But coming up next, Richie Bradshaw from Locked On Sun Devils will join us talking about Jayden Daniels, what Jayden Daniels was like at Arizona State, his thoughts on Jayden Daniels and quarterback LSU is getting in Jayden Daniels. But before we get to that, I want to talk to y'all about Built Bar, because at this time of the year, I pretty much get up on all of my New Year's resolutions, because journaling every day doesn't seem very fun anymore, and I kind of don't get enough time every morning to make it to the gym. But this year, I made a resolution to eat right, and it's really easy to stick with that thanks to Built Bar. It almost feels like it's not really a resolution because I actually enjoy eating them. And if you like marshmallows, if you like snacking on marshmallows, then you're going to love the Puffs. They're one of Built Bar's best tasting bars. They're the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar, they're a treat. And they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Puffs are a fan favorite, and they've got great flavors. They've got churro, which sounds delicious to me. They've got coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie, my personal favorite. They're delicious, and they're going to be your new favorite too. All Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate, including the Puffs. 100% real chocolate, so it kind of tastes like a candy bar, but it's low calorie and high protein, as opposed to some candy bars that are out there that have 240 calories and high grams of sugar, 30 grams of sugar in a candy bar. But you don't get all of the bad stuff with Built Bars, and you don't have to compromise taste. They've got flavors like mint brownie, coconut almond. All new this month is white chocolate cookies and cream. It is so delicious, and they've got new flavors coming out all the time. So make sure to check out on Built Bar and see if there's new flavors that may sound enticing to you. At Built Bar, they're all about the taste. They make it taste delicious first, and then they figure out how to make it healthy. I don't know how, but they pull it off every time. So go to Built.com and use promo code LOCKED15, one word, LOCKED, 15, and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. March Madness is coming down the pipe very soon. And even though I love March Madness, and even though I love to make brackets with my friends, it seems like after day one, my bracket's already busted. And all the money that I put into the pot to make that bracket is gone. And I'm kind of sick of it. But with Stat Heroes NCAA single game pick'ems pits the start players against each other in an amazing hybrid between fantasy and sports gambling. And it's not just like your typical bracket. You can take control back from all those handicappers that always seem to have the advantage. Stat Hero gives you the advantage, resulting in their gamers winning 4 times more often, because Stat Hero eliminates the mystery about who or what you're going up against. In addition to their pick'em games, they also have dozens of lineups that you can comb through to take on head-to-head. All you got to do, they post sets of players for you to take on with a set of players that you choose. That's it. It's super easy. Stat Hero is the easiest and the fastest way to get your sports action fix. The simple, sleek gameplay will have you playing in minutes. It's super easy to set up. I promise you that this is what you want your daily fantasy to be, and this is what I think daily fantasy was really meant to be. So this week, we got the SEC tournament. You got Vanderbilt playing on Wednesday against Georgia, the worst team in the SEC. So if I'm going to take any player to put up against anyone in the SEC, I'm taking Scottie Pippen on Wednesday. Scottie Pippen, the leading scorer in the SEC regular season. Scottie Pippen has been lights out, has been carried the Vanderbilt team on his shoulders. So I'm taking Scottie Pippen this week in the SEC tournament. And you can sign up for Stat Hero for free right now at stathero.com/lockedon. Use promo code LOCKEDON for a 100% deposit match. That's stathero.com/lockedon. Use promo code LOCKEDON for a 100% match. stathero.com/lockedon. Promo code LOCKEDON. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks for making Locked On LSU your first listen every day. Make sure to check out Locked On Bracket Breakdown March 14th right here on Locked On LSU's podcast feed and YouTube channel. College basketball experts Chris Gordy, Andy Patton, and betting expert Lee Sterling give you in-depth breakdowns on every matchup. Joining us now on Locked On LSU is Richie Bradshaw, host of Locked On Sun Devils. And since there will be a certain Sun Devil, former Sun Devil at least, joining us in Baton Rouge, I thought it was only right to do our due diligence and see what our new friend Jayden Daniels was up to at his time in Tempe. Now, first of all, Richie, my first question for you is what I've been breaking down on the podcast all week long, and that is the difference and the regression in Jayden Daniels' stats from 2019 to 2021. And I don't like to be a box score hero and just look at the stats and take those for face value. I had a couple ideas for what I thought might be the reason for the regression. Of course, 17 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in 2019 from Jayden Daniels. And you look at 2021, 10 interceptions and 10 touchdowns on that season. So big regression there. I have my ideas for why that happened. From your perspective, from the Arizona State perspective, what went on between those 2 years and why did Jayden Daniels take such a big step back?
I think the biggest thing that happened is he went from having Brandon Ayuk to no longer having Brandon Ayuk. So what I have come to see in the time that Jayden Daniels was at Tempe for Arizona State is he didn't make his players better. He got the most out of them. So where Brandon Ayuk was a very talented player, Jayden Daniels was able to get the most out of him. Jayden didn't make Brandon better. He was just able to get everything that Brandon Ayuk had in his tool shed out there. So in 2021, there was not a lot of familiarity for Jayden. It was Ricky Pearsall and not much else. You had a freshman in Andre Johnson. You had a transfer in, Brian Thompson, excuse me. And outside of that, there was just a lot of unfamiliarity there. And Jayden really became his own kind of player as a runner. And I think that element truly transpired into him not being as great of a pocket passer as he was when he was a freshman. And he's still a very good quarterback. I think that if he is surrounded with the correct talent, that he could get back to where he was. He's got to work on his placing though. Like there was a lot of balls that were going right into the turf, and that part I couldn't explain to you because as a freshman, he looked very poised and he looked like a confident passer. And naturally you see 17 touchdowns and 2 interceptions and you're like, yeah, there's a lot to work with here. But I think the biggest thing is there was so much unfamiliarity for him in 2021. And he was also coming off a year in 2020 where he only played 4 games because of all the COVID violations and sanctions that were going on within Arizona State. So I think there was just a lot of change that Jayden didn't have enough time to adjust to. What I do know is LSU has quite a bit of talent that I was taking a look at, including, you'll have to remind me of the receiver's name, but
Kayshon Boutte, probably.
Yes. Yep. Boutte. Yes. I've heard a lot of good things about him. And when I found out Jayden was going there, I was like, there you go. There's your Brandon Ayuk. Go get the most out of him.
And that's exactly my thought yesterday. I said, you don't have Brandon Ayuk. You don't have Eno Benjamin. So, of course, you're going to take a step back there whenever you don't have those weapons to throw to. I mean, essentially used as a wide receiver a little bit in 2019 at least. But you mentioned 2020. And I took a look at those 4 games that Arizona State played, 2-2. And in those 2 games that they won, Jayden Daniels didn't pass for more than 15 attempts. He had 15 attempts, I think, against Arizona and 11 against Oregon State. Maybe those numbers may be flip-flopped. And that was a little bit of a red flag to me. It seemed like Arizona State in 2020 and 2021, they found most of their success when Jayden Daniels wasn't throwing the football. And if there's one thing that our new offensive coordinator, Mike Denbrock, wants to do, he absolutely wants to run the football. But he wants this to be a drop back and deep pass offense as well. So that made me a little bit nervous seeing that Jayden Daniels in 2020 and 2021 seemed to defer to running the football and found his most success on the ground.
Yeah, and I totally think that those fears are valid. What I can tell you to give you a little bit of hope is when Jayden has a connection with his receivers, he has a really pretty deep ball. He has
He's a
really
great arm.
good, yes, he's got good arm talent. Like to me, there's no question that he can get the ball down the field. Me and my co-host Connor at the start of the season were saying like if there's one thing Jayden knows how to do, he will take two, maybe three deep shots down the field a game just to remind the defense that he can open up that level of the field. And if he hits, I mean, it's a thing of beauty. So the talent is there. I don't think it just disappeared. I think it was just a matter of we didn't truly have a deep threat this year for Jayden to utilize. And quite frankly, the offense really got away from opening up all levels of the field to turning into a predominantly heavy run team, which had its strengths to a certain extent. Obviously, our guy Rachaad White is headed to the NFL now after recording 1,000 yards and scoring 16 touchdowns. But again, like it's I think that Jayden still has the arm talent. I know he still has the arm talent. It's just a matter of will he be able to regain that confidence? But with some of the weapons that LSU has, I do believe that as long as he can make some chemistry happen and commit the time into learning this offense pretty quickly, because spring training is right around the corner for these guys. So it'll just be a matter of how quickly he can adjust on the fly.
So, I mean, we know that he can run, and you mentioned he's got a great arm. He's great with the deep ball. What does he do best? What do you think is his number one talent?
At this point in his career, it's definitely being able to break out of the pocket as a runner. And it truly became something really special for Arizona State to watch him do this year, because there were times where he's running around in the back and you're pulling your hair and you're like, oh my God, just throw the ball away. And then like 2 seconds later, he's sprinting down the middle of the field and you're like, go, 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 go. So it definitely has to be his improbability. Just the way that he's able to take a flush pocket and scramble outside. And if the receivers can figure out like, okay, it's time to jump off my route and just find a way to get open, then that's the best case scenario. But that is a double-edged sword, because there's times where it is a clean pocket, but Jayden wants to get too creative and then he ends up walking into pressure. So it's you got to have it both ways. Unfortunately, you got to be able to take the good with the bad, but overall, yeah, it's the mobility. That's definitely his biggest strength.
March Madness is only a couple weeks away, so that means that you need to start thinking now about where you're going to be running your brackets this year. You're going to go for the usual, which you always do, ESPN, CBS, or are you looking for the best? Because those aren't the best. We've done our homework here, and we're running brackets with RunYourPool.com. Along with standard brackets, Run Your Pool offers game types like Survivor or Pick X. They're both really fun. It's fun to kind of switch things up, especially when everyone else is doing brackets in March. Do something different. And they also have options to edit scoring. They offer more intel to make your picks, all stuff that you won't find at the usual brackets. You won't find this at ESPN or CBS. If you've got a business, you can also use Run Your Pool to make some of that madness magic and play alongside your employees, or even gain customers that way. Plus, they offer full white glove customer support, custom branding, and one of the easiest 3-minute setups that you will ever find. Clearly, we believe in Run Your Pool because, like I said, we're running our brackets ourselves there. There's no truer test than that. So if you want to play against us for a shot at a cash prize, join us at runyourpool.com/lockedon. And while you're there, create your own pool for your friends and family. Enter code PUREMADNESS at checkout for $10 off your custom pool. All the rules and details will be available there. That's runyourpool.com/lockedon for your chance to win a cash prize. We look forward to seeing and beating you there. This episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. And with the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts that you need. So why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning like, what kind of oil does your car need? I don't know what kind of oil my car needs. And wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer. You're sitting in there, you're sitting on those uncomfortable couches for way too long. You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket, so save your time and save your money. Save time and money when using Rock Auto. So why choose to spend 30%, 50%, even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or a car dealership? I mean, gas is already way too expensive. No need to spend even more money on your car. Rock Auto prices are reliably low for every customer. They have everything you can need. They've got brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, and even a new carpet. I know I had an issue with my Volkswagen Beetle. The battery kept dying, and I got the parts that I needed from rockauto.com. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Write Locked On in there. How did you hear this box? So we know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. Again, we're talking to Richie Bradshaw, host of Locked On Sun Devils, giving us an inside look of what Jayden Daniels' career looked like at Arizona State. But Richie, I remember that viral video of the Arizona State teammates trashing Jayden Daniels' locker whenever he decided to transfer. What's the story behind that? Did the team not like him? Did the team just feel like, okay, if you're not with us, you're against us? Was there kind of a little bit of tension going on within the team? What was the deal there?
I think the biggest reason that video ended up coming out was at the end of the regular season, before the bowl game, there was speculation about whether or not Spencer Rattler was going to be coming to Arizona State. And a good friend of mine who actually has a little bit of pull with the team was telling me that there were rumors that Arizona State had made a very, very good offer for Rattler to return to Arizona where he had played his high school ball. But then Jayden had tweeted out a video and essentially it was like a minute long, just saying, I'm coming back for my senior year. And everyone was really excited. Not much longer, or not much sooner after that, I should say, Spencer Rattler went over to South Carolina in your guys' conference. And from there, it was like, okay, well, we lost on Spencer Rattler, but at least we've got our starting quarterback. And then Daniels decides to transfer. And look, there's a lot going on behind the scenes at Arizona State because the NCAA is about to come down really hard on them for all their COVID stuff, but that's neither here nor there. Why I bring that up is we've seen a lot of guys transferring lately because of that reason, and I think that might have played into it for Jayden. We did just lose our offensive coordinator, and I think that all of this might have played into the decision. Now, unfortunately, why the teammates reacted that way, I feel like it's because he had told everyone that he was coming back for his senior year, only to kind of change his mind and leave. And unfortunately, the players that were doing this definitely didn't leave a very good image for Arizona State. For what it's worth, former LSU Tiger Trevez Moore was the one who took that video. So
interesting.
Yeah, a little bit of irony there, right?
Crossover there.
Yeah.
Very interesting. But kind of in that same breath, just knowing Jayden Daniels as much as you can know him and kind of knowing his attitude, he's coming into an LSU team that really has a certified quarterback competition. I mean, we have Miles Brennan coming back for his, it feels like a 16th year, but he's coming back. He was the starter in 2020. There's Garrett Nussmeier, who just redshirted. He's coming in for his redshirt freshman year. We have Walker Howard coming in, a 5-star recruit. But I'm really just kind of focusing on Miles Brennan and Jayden Daniels because those are the two quarterbacks that have the most experience. Now, and it's going to be a quarterback competition in the spring, and it's going to be a bit of a battle. Just knowing what you know about Jayden Daniels, is that something that he might, welcome wholeheartedly, or is that something that might turn him away a little bit or kind of put a bad taste in his mouth about this new team and especially, this new Brian Kelly era that we have at LSU?
I think that Jayden is actually a very fierce competitor, and I think that he will embrace this opportunity. He's a smart kid. So if he didn't think that he could go to a place that has quarterback competition and outright win it, then I don't think he would have gone there. I think there's a lot of thought that goes into Jayden Daniels, the person, not just the quarterback. And I think that he has all the confidence in the world to win that job. And I think that he shouldn't be the front runner, but it is worth noting that with a new head coach in Brian Kelly, that one of the biggest moves that he makes is getting himself an established 3-year starting quarterback to come over to his program as he begins to build up this potential new dynasty that LSU is hoping that he can build. So I think that Daniels is all in. He's got a gamer mentality, and like I said, I don't think he's going to a situation he doesn't feel confident he can win the job in.
And I think he also comes into the situation in a really good position because although Miles Brennan is coming back, although he's played at LSU before, I mean, there is no loyalty with this team. It's a new coaching staff. It's a completely new era of LSU football. So it's not like it's any sort of loyalty pick, or if it's, this coach recruited this guy. It's a completely fresh slate. So it's kind of coming into a good era of LSU football, so to say. But one concern that I did have, and I don't blame Jayden Daniels for transferring whatsoever because he wanted a little bit more stability. I think Max Johnson, our former quarterback, decided to transfer out of LSU because he wanted a little bit more stability. He didn't want to continue to have this offensive coordinator turnover because I know that can be awfully confusing for a quarterback, albeit Jayden Daniels has been a 3-year starter at Arizona State. He'll have 3 different offensive coordinators in 4 years. Do you think that's something that he can handle, just seeing his turnover from the offensive coordinator in 2019 to 2020 and now moving into a completely different offense?
That'll definitely be one of the things that we all should be looking at, LSU fans, ASU fans, and quite frankly, when you go to the SEC, the whole world is going to be watching your games. And I think that a lot of people are going to be looking at how does Jayden adapt to a brand new environment. And with no offense to the Pac-12, quite the uptick in competition. There are no Alabamas over in the Pac-12. There's no Georgias. There's a couple Vanderbilts, but there's definitely not any kind of competition that Jayden.
We could use a few more Vanderbilts in the SEC. I'll tell you that.
I'll tell you that Vanderbilt would fit in perfectly with the Pac-12. We'll see what Lincoln Riley does, but neither here nor there.
I'm not optimistic, but we'll see.
Exactly. Biggest point being is I think that Jayden is definitely in for just a whole new world of football. Like it just compared to what we have on the West Coast, which is the best coast, by the way. I don't know if you know that, but
I've heard very much. I've heard that before.
There you go. I am very interested to see in a completely new environment because he's a California kid too. Mm-hmm. So he is going to be very unfamiliar with this part of the country and how important football is down there. And quite frankly, playing on Saturday night in Death Valley, even when you're the home team, I feel like that's just a lot of pressure to kind of live up to. I'm very interested to see how Jayden will adapt to that.
Well, come on down. We'll throw a tailgate for you. If you want to see your old pal Jayden Daniels, you're more than welcome to come visit us in Baton Rouge.
I was going to say, you guys probably have a good old time.
Oh, it is. It's a good time. I always say that, it's a really big challenge to graduate from LSU, and it's not because of the academics. It's just making it through 4 years is very much so is a feat that I'm very proud of. But last one for you, Richie, just telling LSU fans, what are they getting in Jayden Daniels? In the quarterback, in the player, the competitor, the leader? Who is Jayden Daniels, and what should we be excited about?
You should be very excited about the level-headedness. He's not going to be in the media. He's not going to be on Twitter. He's not going to be yakking to the guys on the sidelines or anything like that. Jayden is a lunch pail and hat kind of guy. He's there to play the game. He's not there to make friends. He's there to win. With that being said, there is a lot of erratic play. There are times where he has got you screaming in your living room in excitement, and when you're screaming in your living room in anger, and you have to get your phone bad call prick because if you don't get it, you're going to throw something and break your TV. I love Jayden. I was a huge fan of his, and I was really bummed to see him go. I am very excited for LSU and this new opportunity for him because at the end of the day, I'll always be pro player. It's going to be a big change for him. So he's going to have his growing pains, LSU fans. So I'll tell you, just make sure that you go into it understanding that this kid has never played at this stage before. He never played in a big bowl game at Arizona State. The biggest team he played was Oregon, which was his freshman year.
It was a great game.
It was a really great game.
Such a good game.
It was. For what it's worth, it definitely was a good game. That was an awesome win down in Tempe. But it it's just very, very different down in Baton Rouge than it is over in Tempe. So he's going to have his growing pains. He's going to frustrate you, and he's going to really excite you. I'm hoping that he finds a way to get back to his freshman year self, and we see him really push LSU to challenge an Alabama, or I don't know if Texas A&M is supposed to be Texas A&M this year, or if they're going to be meh.
What even is Texas A&M being Texas A&M? I don't even know.
You're not wrong. They recruit, but they sure don't know how to win a championship.
That they can, and they can pay their head coaches. That is for sure.
Yes, they can.
LSU fans look at this and say, hey, worked out really well with our last grad transfer that came in at quarterback. His name is Joe Burrow.
I've never heard of him.
Yeah, never heard of him. But I think expectations are high, but make a fair point, and that this is a completely different environment, completely different expectations. Take it with a grain of salt, but excited to have some new talent and a new guy, Jayden Daniels, coming into Baton Rouge. Richie Bradshaw, we appreciate you, and invitation extended to our next tailgate in Baton Rouge.
I will probably take you up on that if I can scrounge the money. I would love to get out to Louisiana. That sounds like so much fun.
Oh, it's a blast. It is an absolute blast. Thank you for making Locked On LSU your first listen every day. Coming up tomorrow, we'll break down a little bit more of the Will Wade situation. What's next for LSU basketball? Are we going to hear from the administration? We'll get into that tomorrow, but make your second listen Locked On NFL Draft. Ryan Tracy and former NFL cornerback Eric Crocker bring the NFL Draft to life every day with insight and analysis on college football prospects and NFL front offices. It is free and available wherever you get your podcasts.